What's up, you guys? So it's Layla Lynn, and I'm back with a new video, and we are here with the court documents. So you know it's about to be some mess. It's about to be some mess. We're about to get into it as far as Simon Guobadia being in the custody of ICE, him being deported for the second time in his history. We're going to get into his criminal history, like his immigration criminal history, and we're going to get into how he ended up in the custody of ICE this time. And a lot of people are saying that Porsha called them people on him. And I really don't think she did. The court documents show Porsha trying to do everything virtually, not doing in-person divorce. Like, she know he got issues. She's literally trying to do Zoom calls for her divorce, and it's Simon pressing the issue, wanting to show up in person. And it appears that it backfired. So we're going to get into that in this video. But first, if you're not familiar with me, I'm Layla Lynn. I do celebrity news and nostalgia, which means I like to talk about old stuff. So, in this video, we're also going to talk about Simon's old immigration issues, which I've shared with you before. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. And everyone, click this thumbs up button. If you like this type of content, if you like your tea a little messy or your coffee a little messy, click the thumbs up button. And speaking of coffee, so the coffee that I am selling is only available for sale until March 1st. So if you are planning on ordering some coffee and just enjoying yourself with a little cup of coffee, go ahead and do that before March 1st, because other than that, it's gone. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and get into the tea. And the tea is the court documents. All right, I want to start with this one, which is Porsha's request for in-person hearing on petitioner's emergency motion to enforce a prenuptial agreement. Now, the background on this, the prenuptial agreement apparently says, we've only seen it in part in the public court documents because the actual agreement in full is a private document. But it basically says that when it comes to the house that Simon purchased and that Porsha is living in, she is allowed to live there in the event of a divorce until they sell the home. That's what the document says. And so that's why Porsha is still in that house, is because that's what he used to get her. A lot of people call Porsha a gold digger, Phaedra a gold digger, but really it's Simon. Simon used his house as like bait. Like, he was fishing for Porsha and he used his house as bait, and he put in the prenuptial agreement that basically she can live in the house in the event of a divorce until they sell the house. So that is what Porsha is doing. And Porsha is winning, you guys. I have to be honest with you guys. She's winning. But in this document, like I said, Porsha is trying to do virtual everything. So here we have the respondent. Simon is the respondent. Simon's request for an in-person hearing on petitioner Porsha's emergency motion to enforce prenuptial agreement. So Simon is saying, I want to appear in person. Comes now Simon Eor Guobadia. And this is so complicated. I feel like on almost every paragraph we have to clarify. Simon Eor Guobadia, his name is those three names because his real name is Eor Guobadia, and in 2022 he was approved to change his name to Simon Eor Guobadia. Simon is the name that he added onto his name as of 2022. So when it comes to the two Simons, and I've told you before, it's a tale of two Simons. Simon has two identities, like the good Simon and the bad Simon. The good Simon is the one that got married, but I feel like the Eor is the one that got deported in the past. That's the bad Simon. But at this point, he's consolidated his names. So Simon Eor Guobadia, in the above style action, moves the court for an order requiring parties to appear in person for the hearing on Porsha's emergency motion to enforce the prenup, her emergency motion to get that house. He wants to appear in person, and she wanted to appear via Zoom. That's why I say it's like he's playing himself. So the reason that he wants to appear via Zoom, starting with number 5, is due to the technical difficulties and evidentiary complexities involved with presenting evidence via virtual proceedings. That's number 1. And then he gives like former court law that says you can do things in person if it's done with the consent of the parties. And number 7, which would be our number 3 reason, is that in the event the parties are not in agreement with a virtual court proceeding, it could be done in person, because he's saying he's not in agreement with doing it virtually. Now, this is regardless of all the immigration issues he has. He is the one that wants to do it in person. That's what I'm trying to show you guys. And so Portia filed this. The date of this that Simon filed was February 3rd. He said he wants to appear in person. So on February 6th, Portia filed this: wife's objection to husband's request for an in person hearing. She objects. So for everyone saying that Portia is the one like trying to make him appear in court or trying to get him deported or what have you, Portia is trying to do everything via Zoom. Like, she is not trying to make him show up to court. It's him. It's him trying to show up to court and playing himself. But they say comes now Portia in the above style action and through her counsel of record files her objection to husband's request for an in-person hearing. And then it goes through the facts of this case. And they say husband's request for an in person hearing on the basis that he does not consent to a virtual hearing lacks merit and should be denied. She just wants to get on the Zoom call. Like, let's do it via Zoom and let it be done. And so she gives all this case law where they can do all of these cases via Zoom. They say husband's reliance on a certain law to argue that virtual proceedings require the consent of all parties is both misplaced and incorrect. And then they get into the law regarding that. And they say husband's speculation regarding potential technical difficulties and the complexity of the evidence is entirely insufficient to justify converting the properly scheduled virtual hearing into an in person proceeding. Then they also say the shift to an in person hearing would conflict with the best interests of the parties, undermine judicial efficiency. And that's what our government is supposedly trying to do. They're trying to be efficient, the Department of Governmental Efficiency, you know, and it would unfairly prejudice wife along with witnesses and experts residing outside of Atlanta, because it would create unnecessary logistical and financial burdens, forcing individuals to incur substantial travel expenses, disrupt professional and personal commitments, and rearrange schedules on short notice. So basically, Portia is probably not in Atlanta right now. Like, he's trying to force Portia to show up to court. Portia's probably doing whatever she's doing. She might not be in Atlanta. And then she also has a witness that she wants to come testify who also may not be in Atlanta. In the next document, we see that Portia filed this motion to allow expert witness to appear via video conference, via Zoom. Portia is trying to keep it cute via Zoom. Wife requests that this court enter an order allowing wife's expert witness, Edward Bates Jr., to propound his expert testimony via video conferencing or other electronic means. And so I looked up, who is this person? Who is this expert that she wants to appear via Zoom? And this is who I found. This was Edward Ned Bates, and he's one of the most prominent and well-respected lawyers in family law and divorce. And he's a partner at this particular law firm, and he represents and counsels clients across a full range of domestic law issues and is regularly called on by other attorneys to serve as a mediator and arbitrator. So basically, Portia wants to bring this man to court, via Zoom so that he can represent her and help prove her case regarding the prenuptial agreement. And this man has been named one of the best lawyers in America since 1990. So Portia is playing no games by bringing in this expert in her divorce case. But Simon is insisting on having him appear in person. Simon wants everyone to appear in person. And it appears that Simon played himself. It appears that he played himself because when this divorce started, ICE and our immigration system was more like a defense. Even when we think about our military, we think about defense. But now with this new administration, it's almost like ICE is on the offense. Like, they're going after people. They're on the offense. And Simon, with his legal issues, like, ICE is after him. Portia doesn't have to call the people on Simon. It appears he played himself by wanting to appear in court because that tells ICE, who is on the offensive, ICE who is looking for people, it tells ICE he is in town. It tells them he's in Atlanta, and apparently and allegedly they came and got him. In this document, she said, in fact, for every other proceeding, upon information and belief, husband was out of the country and virtual was the only way that he could attend. So he's been out of the country. So y'all, it's a mess. And like I said, I hate to even think when people say Simon got detained by ICE. On the one hand, there's a humorous element to it because of his audacity and the humor in his audacity. But on the other hand, there's a sad element to it because Simon might be in chains right now. Like Simon literally might have chains around his ankles and his hands right now. And I just hate to see a person in chains. But y'all leave a comment. Let me know what y'all think about the entire situation, about how he got there, how he landed where he landed. Porsha said it's due to his choices. Porsha posted, "It's disheartening to see my estranged husband make choices that have led to this outcome. At this moment, my priority is moving forward with my family." So it's decades and decades and decades, 3 decades of choices that landed him where he is now. So y'all leave a comment, share what you think about the situation. And as always, thanks for watching. Now, if you made it this far to the end of the video, then I think you like my content. So make sure you subscribe and check out my channel. I have over 1,000 videos on my channel. Check out my playlists and my podcast, and I assure you, you will like more of my content.